Hello and welcome to Pock and Rob. I previously trailed this video in my last video. It is going to be my review of Trixies by Squeeze. This came out on the 6th of March 2026 and we're about 4 or 5 days into it, so I've been listening to this album several times to give my honest review of it. I've seen it reviewed in The Guardian, where it was given 3 stars, Telegraph, where they gave it 5 and said it was an absolute masterpiece. What I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to do a track-by-track breakdown. I'm also going to rank it at the same time. So I'm going to start with my least favourite track and then work my way up to my favourites. I'm going to give it an average from the score of the 13 tracks. And this is going to start as a result of a new series where I'm going to do exactly the same thing with every Squeeze album and work my way backwards and rebuild my Squeeze ranking. Because I actually think if you've come to this video as a result of watching my Squeeze ranking video I did about 3 years ago, I think I got it wrong, and quite badly wrong. So this is an opportunity to correct the record on that, starting with this new album, Trixies. So the album was actually written in 1974, which means it's as old as I am. It's nearly 52 years old. At the time, Glenn Tilbrook was 16, Chris Difford was 19, and they wrote a musical concept album called Trixies about this nightclub. It didn't go anywhere. It kind of got lost, and then recently apparently Chris Difford found the demos in his loft and they revisited it. By the time they were actually had a recording contract and become Squeeze, music world had moved on, and the idea of concept albums like the things like Kinks had been putting out, or even Bowie, were passé. Punk had happened. And when they came out, they were a new wave band, and hence the album UK Squeeze, which is kind of new wave punk feel. This is not like that. That's not to say that I don't think there's similarities. So I'm going to go in and rank the tracks, and at number 13 I have placed The Dancer, track 5 on the original album. This is a Chris Difford lead vocal, and it turns out this is a Chris Difford sole right. Glenn Tilbrook was not involved in the music on this, and it kind of explains why ultimately the song feels like it goes nowhere, but it's got a dark and brooding and difficult sound to it. In the context of the whole story, it works, so it's not a bad song per se. Chris Difford's vocals kind of suit it, but ultimately I wasn't excited about Trixies for one main reason, and that was, if these songs were any good, why were they not revisited over the later part of Squeeze's career? And actually I think The Dancer might have been. It gives me really strong vibes of Strong in Reason from UK Squeeze. The difference with Strong in Reason, which is a song I always liked, is that there is a musical variation in the chorus, which is where you kind of know Glenn Tilbrook has been involved a lot more. And I'm not saying Chris Difford couldn't write music, because he's done quite a few solo albums and they're not bad. But this track, it's the only track that I have considered to be below average. I've given it 4 out of 10. It's my least favourite track on the album, which is not to say I think it's bad, I just don't engage with it. But The Dancer is my number 13. At number 12, I have placed the track that comes straight after, which is Good Riddance. This is the crux of the album. This is the point at which the character of Trixie comes out and sings. There's a lounge lizard feel. It makes, again, like The Dancer, a lot of sense in the whole story and where it's placed. I didn't like it at all, actually, on my first listen, but as I've listened to it more, it's improved. I've given this 5 out of 10, so I think this is an average song. At number 11, I have placed Anything But Me. This is from side 2 of the record. This gives me the feel, although it's by no means the same as If I Didn't Love You off of Argy Bargy. Probably one of my least favourite tracks off that album. It's got some of the weirdness that you get on some of the tracks from Cool for Cats. I don't love it, I don't loathe it. I've given it, again, 5 out of 10. Track 10 on my ranking is Trixies Part 1, the penultimate track of the album. More than anything that I listened to on this album, I really felt that this track gave the indication of what Squeeze would go on in years to come to become. I like it. I think it's a good track. I enjoy it enough It's not great, it's fine. I've given this actually 6 out of 10. Number 9, I have placed The Place We Call Mars. So in some of the reviews there are references to things like Bowie and the fact that when this was written, Diamond Dogs was his current album. This has Bowie feel all over it, and not just because it references Mars. They're kind of obvious, the Bowie influences on this track, including the Mark Ronson-esque guitar solo that kind of crashes into the song. Interesting when I first heard it. Second listening, I thought, I'm not sure I like it. Third and fourth, I've ultimately grown to actually think it's again a 6 out of 10 song. Number 8 on my ranking, I have placed Don't Go Out in the Dark. So this is the last track on what is side A of the vinyl. This is a third brooding, dark, difficult song in a row, but this one's also got a grungy, hard guitar feel to it, which is not a style that I associate with Squeeze. I think it's got a really good chorus, and it's another 6 out of 10. 7 on my list, which is again 6 out of 10, 4 6 out of 10s in a row, I've placed It's Over. So this is a really languid kind of song, and it really suits Chris Difford's vocals. I actually think this is probably Chris's best vocals since Slaughtered, Gutted and Heartbroken, at least on a Squeeze record. I think it's one of his best vocals, in fact, of his whole catalogue. Again, this is a Difford soul right, like The Dancer, but this one I like a lot more. It reminds me as well, almost like of a Tom Waits track, and I really liked it overall. I've given it, as I say, 6 out of 10. So we're roughly halfway, so this is my reminder to remind you to subscribe if you haven't already done so, to click the thumbs up to help with the YouTube algorithm. It causes the video to appear on other people's channels. I suspect I might be the only video review of Trixies that's currently on YouTube. To click the bell to receive notifications of future content, especially if you are interested in my track-by-track ranking that I'm going to do of the Squeeze albums. The next one up is, of course, The Knowledge, which I am not looking forward to. And share the video with someone else who might like it. Maybe they're a Squeeze head as well. So into the tracks that I've placed from 6 down to 1. And number 6, I have placed You Get the Feeling, the second track of the album. This feels like it's been parachuted in from an album like Some Fantastic Place. I think it's a good track. I think it's got a classic Squeeze chorus. It's a 7 out of 10. I like You Get the Feeling. Track 5 on my ranking is the opening track of the album, What More Can I Say? This gave me an immediate stylistic feel of something like Sweets from a Stranger, which might be because I've been listening to Sweets from a Stranger because of that video that I've just posted reimagining the album, crossed with something like King George Street from A Cozy Fan Tutti, Fruity. It's got incessant chord shifts throughout it. If this was written at the ages of 16 and 19, this is quite mature songwriting, even then, for young teenagers. I like it a whole lot, and I've given this 8 out of 10. It's nudging towards full-on Squeeze classic, but not quite there. And I'd say the same for the 4th placed ranking on my list, which is Trixies Part 2. The closing track of the album. This is a 4/4 double time track. It injects a little bit of fun, like genuine fun at the end of the record. To me, it feels like a track that Madness would have recorded, and that's probably because of the overt sax that's all over this track. I love the melodic lift from the chorus. I think this is a great way to end the album, actually. And again, I've given this 8 out of 10. Then into my top 3. At number 3, from side 2 of the record, the track 11, it's The Jaguars. This is a rockabilly style song. If you know Squeeze well, then this immediately gives you echoes of things like There at the Top and Messed Around, and to a certain extent Get Smart. It's got a jive beat. Every time I listen to it, my foot starts tapping. It is a proper foot tapper. I can't avoid it. I was looking back on I made that note about it being a foot tapper, the first listening. Second listening, I was revising my notes and I suddenly immediately felt my foot. I was looking, I'd written that. It happens every time. Really good song, the Jaguars. I can hear, although he's not on it, I can hear Jools Holland style all over this track. I know he wasn't even remotely near joining Squeeze at the time this was written, but this kind of says to me that they weren't as far apart musically as they may seem to have become over the years with his interests in jazz and boogie woogie. And I can imagine this actually sung by Jools. I think the Jaguars is a great song. I've given it 9 out of 10. Number 2. And at the time, as I was listening to this the first time, I cited this as being the best thing so far on the album. It's Hell on Earth. This gives me immediate What the Butler Saw vibes, which is a B-side from the Argy Bargy era. Again, I can't help but imagine when I hear Hell on Earth what this might have sounded like had Jools Holland been on keys. It's a great song, really good song. Instant, genuine Squeeze classic. And for that reason, because I can hear this at almost any point in their career, especially when Jools Holland was with them, I've given this 10 out of 10. I think Hell on Earth, great. And at number 1, Why Don't You? One of the lead-off singles. It's the opening track of side 2 of the vinyl. Absolutely terrific song. If I've given Hell on Earth 10 out of 10, you know this is also 10 out of 10, so no surprise there. Could have easily sat on something like Argy Bargy or Cool for Cats. I absolutely love this, and I find myself wondering why wasn't this revitalised or revisited later on and given that golden era treatment? I think it would have been an absolutely stone cold Squeeze classic, possibly a hit single. Not that they had enough hit singles. Absolutely terrific chorus on this one as well, and coming as it does on the CD after the heart of the record, The Dancer, Good Riddance and Don't Go Out in the Dark, this is a much needed lift in mood and feel. As a side 2 opener, I think it was an absolute smasher as well. Not that I've heard the vinyl, but if this opens side 2, way to open it. So that gives me an overall score of 90, which when you divide it by 13 is an average score of 6.9. So in my brand newly started Squeeze ranking, Trixies is a 6.9 album. Now nothing is ever going to get 10 out of 10 on every song. So 10 out of 10 on my way of ranking now is unachievable. 9 out of 10 is possible. And that was probably what would then say is a 10 out of 10 album, if you get what I'm drifting at here. So 6.9, I'm kind of thinking with these rankings that if I add another mark on, that reflects how the whole album works. And so this then becomes almost 7.9, 8 out of 10. And I think that's right. This is a 4-star album. I suspect this will be the last Squeeze album. I think Trixies is bookending Squeeze completely, right from the fact it was written before they became famous, and I think it's the last thing they're going to record. I think Trixies is the end, and it's a blooming good end, a really, really good end, and I'm glad they did it. I'm glad it's a good way to finish a stellar songwriting career. So that concludes my review and ranking the tracks of Trixies. If you enjoyed this, I would remind you to subscribe, like, hit the bell, share the video with someone else. This series will continue. I will be going to the Knowledge. I am not looking forward to it, but maybe that album will finally click. Come back to find out. But until then, thanks for watching.